5/20 on September 26, 2020, on 28, 2020. Need to have a approval of the minutes for March 16, 2020.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes March 16, 2020 as written.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion on the floor and a second on the floor for the March 16th minutes of 2020 to be approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 3 is discuss and, if appropriate, to take action to approve the resolution authorizing the corporation to enter into an economic development and project financing agreement with the City of Groves, Texas, and that comments the corporation to pay sales tax proceeds to the city to help finance the new fire station project for the City of Groves.
Board members, we have Lance Fox with us tonight, and he's going to guide us through this process. So if you have any questions, he's here. He's available to tell you what happens when and how this all works.
Good evening. Nice to see everybody. Lance Fox here, council and council bond council for the City of Groves. As you observed earlier, the City Council passed a resolution and they heard things on the new fire station project, and we've been talking about this project for a long time now. And so the City Council passed a resolution to authorize notice of its intent to go forward and issue the financing, the certificates of obligation that they're called, to finance the fire station project. And so that process has started, and if all goes as we would anticipate, then the city will take bids and award the certificates on or about November the 23rd. Legally, that's about as quick as they can meet because of the notice requirements that the city has to go through, which means that the funds will be received by the city, if all goes according to plan, in December, and then they can break ground and go forward. From your standpoint as Economic Development Corporation, you've already taken action before. You just approved the minutes of your March 16th meeting, and that's where you passed a resolution calling for a public hearing to take place within the city on this proposed project and the use of the sales tax revenues to fund that project. And this is all right during the outbreak of COVID, but you did call for that hearing on March 30th, and you may recall you actually held that meeting, gave the public an opportunity to ask questions. There was notice posted here at the city on its website and actually posted in the Port Arthur News advising everybody of that hearing. And that hearing took place, and I have minutes of that hearing with the attendance and even with COVID. And so that's taking place. That was required under the EDC legislation, that if you're going to use your tax proceeds for this type of project, then you have to give the public an opportunity, and actually an opportunity to present and request a petition for a vote, which the city has not received on the use of those proceeds. So that's just following those legal requirements, and there's not been a petition. And so now it's appropriate, if the board is so inclined, to now pass a resolution, since you've accomplished those things and you now got the commitment from the city to go forward, to actually authorize this agreement that's attached to the resolution that me and Mr. Black prepared, to say we as the EDC commit to use and pledge and turn over these sales tax proceeds to pay the certificates obligations for this fire station, just like you've heard all along, subject to the requirements of the city. They actually build the project and they actually issue the certificates of obligation. And for purposes of this, even though we're expecting to close in December, we gave them up to 1 year from today to get the certificates, issued. If there was some big downturn in the market or some craziness with the election and the city, for whatever reason, wasn't ready to go in the market come December when we expect to issue their certificates, there's still time to do that. But if for whatever reason the city is unable to fulfill its commitment to build a fire station, then the agreement is non-binding and we can cancel that. So pretty straightforward. This is really the same process that you've used in the past for the sewer facility improvements that the board found would help promote economic development, business, providing special services to the business community. At your meeting in March 16th, you made the same finding that this fire station, one, is an authorized project and EDCs are allowed to finance and use sales tax proceeds, even though it's for the city, but it benefits the community by promoting safety and fire safety and letting the plants and the businesses know we'll have them modern and up to date. So you've already made those findings, so it's all within a purview. But so if you take action tonight, this will approve the signing of this contract and subject to the city fulfilling its conditions. And then the city has not yet approved this agreement. They will in the future, probably at the same meeting, either before or after they take action on November the 23rd to actually issue the certificates of obligation. So it's kind of where you're at. Any questions about any of that?
This, is there, I mean, it's all the way it's supposed to be, like we did for the work, I mean, the sewer
It's
treatment.
the exact same procedure that's been used in the past, same purpose,
Okay.
same use of the proceeds. Yes, sir, it's all in order and very consistent with what many EDCs do within their purview and authority to help, you know, provide for economic development in the city. And it's, that's why the state act allows these types of projects to be financed. It can be streets, it can be roads, it can be certain types of facilities, not all facilities, but this is certainly one of them that qualifies.
Anybody else have any other questions?
I just have a couple, and it may relate more to D on, so in our budget, we have about, is it 725 that we expect to come into EDC?
Probably between 750 and 800 is probably what we expect.
Okay, so higher, because by the time we deduct the fee,
Yeah. And here again, this probably, our first payment probably won't be this year. Our first payment will probably be the following year.
okay,
Okay, so we're basically lowering our expectations on EDC right now and letting that fund build up because our major payment from the EDC funds will probably start sometime in late 2021, early 2022.
okay. So the funds that we have right now, where will those go until
They
that
stay
payment?
in EDC. They're
They
EDC
just stay
funds.
there
Right.
and accumulate? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Hodges?
I have a question for Lance, if possible. We're getting ready to spend $8.3 million to replace a 60-year-old fire station. I'd like for him to refresh our memory on why we need this new fire station.
It's going to be that last.
Wrong land.
Computer Lance.
I was waiting to hear that one from you.
Well, Mr. Hoyer, like I said, our building is over 60 years old. We've got some issues with it. The air conditioning on one side of it doesn't keep up anymore because the heat in the summertime, it just overpowers it. And we have it on 68 degrees, and it doesn't get below 75 until the sun goes down. And that's with the door shut all day long. We've got a leaky roof in there. The other thing is it's outdated with the interior. The guys sleep in one dorm room, and they're in bunk beds, they're on top of each other. We've remodeled this thing numerous times over the years, and the bays now as well, they're too small. We have maybe 2 feet of room to walk in between the vehicles now. With the new bays, they're going to be 1.5 feet wider, I believe it is, and about 30 feet longer. So we have a whole lot more room in there, and it's just that the building is serves its purpose, and now we need to update this one because it's
Wasn't one of your future concerns with the growth of
the department as well. Yes, sir.
with the growth of the Department 1, but also growth of the equipment you use, these trucks barely fit in that.
That is correct, sir. We're no longer able to really control the specs because the trucks are going to get a little bit bigger because of everything we have to have on them. So we're crunched on all that. The bay's also going to be a lot taller as well. to accommodate these vehicles, because they come in, I believe there's about 6 inches of clearance when we bring them in on the roof as well.
Thank you.
Is there a state requirement on our facilities?
Not on the facilities, no, sir.
Not on the facilities.
No, sir. Any other questions?
I know it is on the trucks, correct?
Yes, sir.
So the next trucks
It's a
will
federal
be
regulation.
internal regulation, what we have to have from the population and the size of
On
our
the
city?
ISO, that's on the ISO rating, and it's a little bit different on all that. It's not requirements, it's just the equipment that you have, the better rating that you get.
And the better rating, does that influence our insurance?
And by the way, to
Homeowners
come off that,
insurance?
our homeowners insurance, we just went from the latest ISO rating from a 4 down to a 3. So the homeowners will see a little bit of reduction in homeowners insurance as well because of that. And we're working for the next review in the next few years to try to get that down to a 2 because we are very close to that rating, and this will help us out.
So I thought
It's all tied in.
yes, sir. Any other questions?
Thank
Motion on that.
What are we making a motion to authorize to enter into the economic development agreement?
Is that correct? Mr. Fox, this
That's
is
right.
basically just
Yes, that's
Right, authorize it to
to approve the
approve
resolution.
the resolution authorizing the corporation to enter in with the city of Grove. Can I get a motion on that, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt a resolution approving the financing of the Rose Fire Station from the Rose Economic Development Corporation for the figures stated earlier.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the resolution authorizing the corporation to enter, Economic Development Corporation to enter into a project financing agreement with the city of Grove of Texas and the Communist Corporation to pay sales tax proceeds to the city to help finance the new fire station. Any other discussion? Mr. Bensel? Mr. Hollier?
Aye.
Ms. Tice?
Aye.
Mr. Malzahn?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. Item number 4, discuss and act on a request from the Sun-Dry Coffee House at 4,000 Lincoln Avenue for the reimbursement grant of $6,412.61 for the new outside improvements.
EDC board, the original application was for $27,000, and their roof is not a part of the EDC incentive, so it had to be discarded. So they ended up with about $16,000 of eligible EDC reimbursable items, and that comes to, at 40%, that comes to a reimbursement grant of $6,412.61. Their awning, their concrete, their drive, and also they put in a drive-through window. All those were eligible under EDC. So we're making a recommendation that on eligible items that the EDC grant them a rebate of $6,412.61. And I've got to say, the place looks really, really good, much better than it did.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request from Sundara Coffee House for a reimbursement grant of $6,412.61.
I second that.
I have a motion on the floor and a second to approve the reimbursement grant of $6,412.61 to the Sundar Coffee House at 4,000 Lincoln Avenue for their new outside improvements. Any discussion? Councilmember, excuse me, I'm sorry. Mr. Bensel?
Aye.
Mr. Hollier?
Aye.
Ms. Tice?
Aye.
Mr. Malzahn?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. Item number 5, discuss and act on the request from the Armorers United Martial Arts for a reimbursement grant in the amount of $1,410.61 for the new signage at the exterior of this building at 6039 39th Street. It also looks good.
EDC board, if you'll notice, the Armentors recently moved from their current location, which they've been at since the 60s, to what used to be the coffee shop in front of Bruce's. And they have put up some new signage, and their new signage total $3,526.54. And under our guidelines, they're eligible for 40% rebate not to exceed $2,500. So we're recommending a 40% on the amount that they presented, which would be $1,410.61.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve Armator's payment of $1,410.61 for their new signage.
I'll second that.
We have a motion on the floor and a second to approve the Armators United Martial Arts for reimbursement of the grant in the amount of $1,410.61 for new signage. Any questions? Did they not want any money for the outside improvements they made? The concrete, poles, fence?
They don't actually, that's not their building. That's right.
Okay.
The only thing they're eligible for would be the actual signage right now.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Question, Chairman. If the owners of the property applied for a grant, would they be eligible?
They would be considered, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Even though they were, even though it's not their business, it's a rent property?
Right. The owner, the people that put the money in are the ones that are they're eligible to get it out. So
I was like, they own that.
they own that shop.
Okay.
She's leasing, so the only thing she's eligible for is the signage grant.
Yes. Thank you very much for your explanation. Any other discussion? Mr. Bensel?
Aye.
Mr. Hollier?
Aye.
Ms. Tice?
Aye.
Mr. Mollison? Thank you all. Item number 6, discuss and act on a request from Stop and Drive at 6048 Monroe for a reimbursement grant in the amount of $1,200 for sidewalk improvement.
EDC board, this is of course the 7-Eleven on the corner of Main and Monroe. And they prepared a sidewalk that was in really, really bad shape, and it was actually a trip hazard. So they presented all the work, they presented the canceled checks and so forth in the amount of $3,000. The work has been inspected, it is top quality work, and they are eligible for a 40% rebate or reimbursement of $1,200, and we recommend that the EDC board grant that request.
Mr. Chairman, I also move to approve the Stop and Go reimbursement grant for $1,200 for their new sidewalk.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second on the floor to discuss and act upon the request of the Stop and Drive at 6048 Monroe for the reimbursement grant in the amount of $1,200 for the sidewalk improvements. Any discussion? Only thing I have, D, is, does he own the old car wash property next to his building?
Yes, he does.
Oh, I want to ask him. Point that up.
And that, we can do that.
It'd be nice, it looks good with that new sidewalk.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Mr. Bensel?
Aye.
Mr. Hollier?
Aye.
Ms. Tice?
Aye.
Mr. Mollison? Chairman votes aye. We have any other discussion or anything for EDC?
I have one announcement.
Yes, sir.
As you're all aware, the owners of the back property at 39th Street and Twin City, thank you very much. They are demolishing that, and I believe I sent you some information. And they called me Friday and told me they decided to build Starbucks to be one of their first
And there's
tenants.
gonna be Starbucks.
They told me Friday.
All right.
Yeah, I have one other question, and I don't know Did we pay the debt service out of EDC for this year?
No, no.
That was already put in the other,
Yes, ma'am.
department, okay.
You know, as soon as we finished paying the sewer plant off, there were no more EDC funds going to any debt service.
Okay, so that money that was there, where is it now?
It's still in,
It's just in EDC?
It's in EDC.
Okay.
One question. So EDC is going to continue like it has been until we start making our first payments, right?
Well, actually, what's going to happen is EDC will continue like it's been. It's just that instead of $100,000 operational fund for grants, it'll be down to about $25,000. Which is still, will still go a long way in a small city like this. It's going to help a lot of people.
Mr. Chairman, since we're dramatically lowering that available fund, do you think we ought to lower our percentage to help more businesses or just a few businesses?
That's probably a good idea. I talked to Needland today, and they have a program very similar to this program. They call it their Pride program, and they cap everything at $10,000. Okay, so you don't get any, no matter what you put together, you don't get anything. And then they brought everything down. Like, for example, right now, instead of a $2,500 cap for signage, maybe we should go to $1,500. I agree that we need to have a meeting and discuss what adjustments the EDC wants to make, because instead of, and here again, if we're going from 100,000 to 25,000, that's a 75% reduction. We can make a 75% reduction in the actual reimbursable amounts.
The reason I brought it up, it's something to think about. We can adopt that at any time.
I'll have it as an item on the next agenda.
I would, myself, I would rather grant the grants to more people than, let's say, 2 or 3.
Mhm.
And then the other people who come in, I'm sorry, those funds are spent. It's six and half a dozen of the other. I would rather make more businesses happy than less. And with these finances dropping dramatically, I think we need to think about lowering that percentage and give us a month or so to think about it and then bounce off of whatever.
It'll be an item on the next agenda.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? You think you could maybe get that, something like that together before the end of the year?
Oh, sure.
Have a little meeting?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Say we have one in December?
Yes, sir, no problem.
All right, I appreciate it.